Welcome back. So we are continuing the saga of the saggy front end. We're still sitting low after replacing the front strut assembly. So the next option is the control arms. So we are going to be replacing the control arms this time. So same thing as last time. First step, jack up the car, get the tire off, and then we'll start pulling parts out. So we got the car jacked up, stable, got the wheel removed, and then we got the control arm back here. So we got two 21mm bolts that hold it to the frame, 1 and 2. We got an 18mm bolt and nut that holds the bushing on, and then underneath here is the pinch bolt, also an 18mm, and then we've got a pinch bolt spreader that we'll use on that. So the first one I'm going to do is the pinch bolt, because if I can't get that out, then there's no point in getting the rest of these out. Pinch bolt out. So now we need to get the ball joint out. So then we're going to use our pinch bolt spreaders. It feels loose. Careful not to spread it too wide, otherwise you'll break your knuckle and then you'll be replacing this whole thing. It feels loose, so I'm going to grab a pry bar, see if we can get it out. Alright, so it's loose, so now I'm going to go on to the next couple of bolts. So another 18mm top and bottom. Now I gotta get these two out. 1, 2, these are 21s. So that's all the bolts out. Hopefully everything will just come right apart now. So that part out. Now for the ball joint. So the separator definitely helped, but ended up being bent. Still definitely helped. All right, and we'll clean that up, clean all that up, and then we'll get the new one in. So I'm just comparing the two. Look at this bushing. It is hard to move, but it's definitely got a lot of cracks and a tear along the inside. The new one is not cracked at all. It actually looks more solid. Yeah, that one actually goes through all the way. That one's actually solid all the way through. So it should be a little bit less motion. And I can't wiggle it. This one I can wiggle just a little bit. These can't turn at all. This one I can turn a little bit by hand. And the biggest one is the ball joint. I can move that by hand easily. This one I can't move at all. So ball joint was definitely bad, and the other two bushings were on their way out. Everything else looks pretty much the same. So it should just bolt right in after we clean up the joints. And after that, I had the little brushes last time, so I actually picked up this whole brush kit, and it's got some different size ones. Granted, they aren't enormous like the strut, but this will work for bolt holes here. And these can either be done with a drill or by hand, which I thought was very convenient. So for the bolt hole, probably going to use one of these two. That one should work good. And then for the actual ball joint hole, I'm going to use that one. It's not big enough, but I can make it work. Definitely can do it by hand. I'm going to grab the drill so it's a lot faster. Yep, clean that up really good. This was definitely not made for a drill. That wore that whole thing out. Almost there. Gotta make sure that pin, the hole in the ball joint is lined up with your hole. We're almost there. Alright, it's in. Put the bolt back in there so it doesn't fall out. So ball joint in. Pin is in, but it's not tight yet. Gonna get the rest of these in first. I'll start with my rubber joint. All right, bolts in. Definitely would have been easier to put those in first and then the ball joint, so we're gonna do that on the other side. I ended up having to jack up the knuckle just to get those bolts to align in there so I could actually screw them in, and even then it was still really difficult. So the other side I'm going to do those different. So now I'm going to torque these down, and then this side is ready to be put back together. So this bolt is between 100 and 110 foot-pounds of torque. So the number one setting on that is right now, I think it's 104, and then the ball joint is, it gives you a range of 100 to 120 foot-pounds. So I'm just going to use number one setting on my wrench here and put it at about 100. Torque down, this side is all set, and put the wheel on, and then on to the other side. Alright, so this side I'm just going to time lapse since I already kind of went through details, and then I'm going to install this one, bolts on the frame first and then the ball joint, and see how that goes. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy. and that's it. So putting it in the other direction didn't make it any easier because like there's not enough room here without disconnecting your control arm to get your knuckle out of the way. And I just didn't want to do that. So I ended up doing it the same way on this side as I did on the other side, except I put this bolt in first, which was actually a lot easier. So do that one, then your ball joint. Those two are difficult no matter what time I put them in, unless you can maybe start with those two and then do the rest. I don't know, experiment. But either way, it's not a hard job, but it is time consuming, even with power tools. Even manual tools would make it even longer. This is totally a do-it-yourself at home kind of job. Just make sure you allocate yourself plenty of time for stuck bolts. If you don't, especially if you don't have an impact wrench, you definitely need a breaker bar, as even my impact didn't get that more forward bolt off on both sides. I had to use the breaker bar and a 5-foot extension to finally break those loose. But I'm going to put this back together, give it a test drive, and hopefully this fixes my saggy front end, because the ball joint was definitely bad on both sides. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content.